Tune in and drop out live from the Satellite of Dreams, echoing directly into your eardrums. With the co-host Murph taking an Antarctic sabbatical, Brogan is playing some old classics. Joining Brogan today is TJ Denzer, senior news editor at Shacknews and an all-around really cool dude. This week's episode looks at the classic action platformer Mega Man X4. TJ, tell us a bit about yourself. How did you get into gaming and the field, and what kind of games do you like?
So I've been playing since I was 3 years old. I was born in 1998. I don't know if that matters, but I've been playing since I was 3 years old. So, my first memories of existence are being on a, either Colorado or North Dakota vacation with my family, and driving through this dusty town where I saw an arcade in the town, and then we went to a campsite, and then I ran back from my family to that arcade, and they found me inside a 3-year-old kid standing on a chair playing World Heroes Perfect. And, I've just been fascinated with arcades my entire life, and, video games is an extension of that. But, that led into me, I've played my whole life, Nintendo, Genesis, PlayStation, and, when it got to, college years, I also developed a love of fantasy fiction and writing. So I went into college for an English degree, and then and then at the end of that, I wanted to go into a master's degree, but the program that I was going for didn't accept my application. So I was sitting there thinking so what do I do with an English degree? What do I do with an English degree if I'm not going to continue to study? And so I had some buddies that were working in games journalism, and I was kind of cold on gaming for a while. I was still kind of in it, but I wasn't actively doing it because I was focusing on my studies. And I shot my shot. I shot a pitch to them around the time that Shovel Knight came out, and I did my first pitch of an opinion piece. And that got accepted, and from 2017 on, I worked my ass off in freelance, and eventually found my way to some regular positions with a few folks, and now I'm at Shacknews as the senior news editor.
That's a big thing is stumbling into the thing from strong friends and strong work. That'll definitely do it. Did I ever tell you, however, how I met Will was 10 years ago. I was doing freelance for film. It was just one of those random film websites that doesn't pay you or whatever. And they got him as the editor. And he just saw, we just saw each other's work or whatever. And we liked it. And also I sympathize with the arcade thing because first of all, you're a fighting game sicko. Beat my ass a couple times for sure. Some of my earliest memories were at Aladdin's Castle in Fort Walton Beach playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And I was 8 or 9. I was born in 93. And just playing with some kid and I was this is the greatest game I've ever played in my life. So I definitely sympathize. But looking back at the year, you wrote a top 10 on Shacknews for your 10 video games. And what strikes me about this list, and I sympathize with a lot of it, I've played a lot of them, is there's a lot of them that have an asterisk next to their claim here. For me, Elden Ring Night Rain, I'm it's a multiplayer only game, roguelite. I don't know if I would love it. But when you play it, it's really, really good. Or, you take Doom, and I wrote a review on Doom. I did not love it, but also there's a lot to like about it, Do you find that this year just had a lot of maybe this isn't for everybody, or maybe there's some problems in the pipeline?
2025 was both one of the busiest years and also one of the most troubling years I think we've ever seen in video gaming, because there was a lot of bangers in 2025, but it was like almost always coupled with some bad news about layoffs or something bad happening, and it felt like you couldn't be happy for a second in 2025. Like you would have like these I think it was a pretty great year for gaming, as far as just like the variety of things that came out and the optionality, as far as like low cost indie games, high tier AAA games. I think there was a good gamut, but it was tainted a lot.
Yeah. There's still some golden ones on here, and I honestly got to ask about them. Specifically, I'm curious your opinion on Death Stranding 2. I haven't gotten to play it yet. Is it the peak Kojima?
It is a peak game. Like, Death Stranding 2 caught me in a very, very surprising way. And I think a part of it was where I was at the time. Like, 2025 was a big vibes year for me. I was going through a lot of tough stuff and trying to keep it together and trying to keep a straight face for a lot of it.
You used the term social and legal chicanery in your list.
Yeah. And without like digging into that too much, like Death Stranding was so very therapeutic to me in a way that nothing else came close to. For one, it's one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen. Like, the sheer depth of technology and the design of the environment. Like, you can be walking by a river and planning your way across it, and then suddenly it will start raining harder, and that river will flood and threaten to actually pull you into it. And it changes the topography of the terrain, it changes the challenge, it changes the kind of equipment you use to get around that challenge. And, like, it's an incredible story attached to that, where, like, it sloughs off a lot of the Kojima, for lack of better terms, and I don't... How are we allowed to cuss on this one?
Yes.
It sloughs off the Kojima bullshit and focuses in on a narrative that grips you and is actually compelling to follow. Because, like, Sam is a broken man. And he's a troubled and problematic man, and he has a journey to go on to fix that. And he wants to do that. And he has people that want him to do that. And so all of it together, like, just made for this thing that was both the most visually, gameplay-wise, and narratively compelling thing I played out of 2025.
I haven't played it yet. I'm very excited to. I'm still slowly chipping away at some titles, and I think the one title in your list that might climb to... That's already in my top 5, but might climb to, like, the peak, is Silent Hill F. I really enjoyed... This is probably, like, either my second favorite Silent Hill, or, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's really, really good. And I think one of the strengths is because it is trying to be itself. It has its own identity. It's almost like a Prey situation where the label on it is sort of just there to exist and help sell the copies. But what is actually in front of you is a really, really strong title. The story is incredibly strong, the art direction is strong, and it's still great horror, and it's some of the best combat Silent Hill has ever seen. Not that that's golden praise, but, you know. Yeah, how do you feel about Silent Hill F?
Over the moon. Like, have you played Yume Nikki or any of the writer's other work?
I have played Yume Nikki, yes.
And, like,
I didn't realize he did that. That's awesome. That's crazy.
And it's crazy. Yeah, and, like, when you play through this game, if you have knowledge of those things, there are very, 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 very signature vibes of that particular writer and the way that things play out here. I think it's bold as hell that we have a Silent Hill game where you can go down the wrong path and you will die for it. Like, yeah. Straight up. Like, one of the first escape scenes, you take the wrong left or right at the wrong place, and you will go into a dead end, and the monster will get you, and you just die.
But and that's so cool because, like, for me, two things was The environment itself, okay, it takes place in Japan in the 70s, like a small rural Japan town, and you're a schoolgirl, and like exploring the town. One of the reasons why I'm so slow at it is because I want to like peek into every little corner of this, and it can be punishing to do so, and it is legit scary at points. It can be rough.
Yes, and they have such, like, Neobards has a really, really strong grasp of building dread. Have you gotten to the Scarecrow puzzle yet?
Yes. I was also going to cite the puzzles are hard in this, in a good way, because I haven't used a guide on them, but that one where you have to, like, look at the correct Scarecrow based on a riddle where the needle will be for the, like, oh my gosh, like, and that stuff is really cool, and is still, like, the one before that was, like, a mosaic one where you have to look at little painting murals.
Yes.
And it requires a cultural knowledge of Japan, and I'm not mad at it because, like, the fact that it demands you figure this stuff out and learn about it helps deepen your appreciation for the title.
Absolutely, because it's not like it's not just a sliding block puzzle. You don't have like no connection to it where it's just like a form of puzzle you've seen before, or you just put the key item on the spot. It's actually engaging logic. Like,
yes,
it's reading through these statements about these scarecrows and figuring out which scarecrow best fits that vibe. It's looking at like those designs and looking at the clues that you're giving and figuring out how they apply to those clues. I love that game is smart enough to be like, you gotta just like use your brain, bro.
Yeah. It's uncompromising, but it's not necessarily like balls hard. It's not Silk. To me, it's not like anything near Silk Song. I dropped off of Silk Song, but you went ham. Like, you learned the bosses, the every little pattern, every little detail. This will be the last one I ask is what really made you fall in love with Silk Song here?
Oh gosh, that's
maybe that's too big of a question.
There's so many good things about that game. Like, I think just like the sheer dedication and uncompromising logic and all of it. Like, these are people that stuck their nose to the grindstone and didn't listen to trends or suggestions for 8 years. And sometimes it hurts the game. Sometimes it's just a part of what the game is. And I think that's important to Silksong because, like, if they had compromised, if we saw like trends in this thing that just don't belong, and even if the trends that we see sometimes are kind of archaic because of how long they developed it, it's such a well assembled piece. Like, everything is is where it's supposed to be. I've had people tell me, like, I go into a room and there's nothing there, and I don't understand why that room is there to begin with, and I'm like, it's there to frustrate you, dude. It's exactly there to frustrate you and make you sad and poke at every corner of it until you realize there's nothing here. Because that's just the way they made it.
Yeah, and in that way, it's very similar to, like, Dark Souls, right? And I don't mean that comparison like, oh, it's hard for the sake of it. It is uncompromising in its creativity and how deeply you want to connect with the environment. In those, I really like it. I think I always bounce off of the bosses, man. I don't know what it is. And, like, I think, like, the rosary bead loop and stuff, definitely, I dropped it, like, near the tail end of Act 2. It just is. I might pick it back up again. But for me, I never fell in love with Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight was like an 8 out of 10. So this is also probably going to be an 8 out of 10 when I beat it one day. But that being said, you're right in that every aspect of it is carefully crafted and it has love to it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's every piece is where it's supposed to be, like, methodically so. And I get it as far as the complaints I've seen about the resource management in that game, because as someone who did those no-hit boss runs, beast shards are so annoying in that game. You use them for every, like, sub-weapon that you get, and you get them a lot at the beginning, and you think to yourself, I'm never going to run out of these things, and where I am, it's...
Yeah. And like rosary aren't that bad either, but also they're not bad if you grind for them in a spot you know is good.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Or like you have, and like there's build things that really help. I do really like how you can alter your builds, and like the crests have different trajectories to your hits and your pogos. And I actually really, really like that variety over the charm system of Hollow Knight. But I don't know, it wasn't clicking with me just yet. Maybe one day. But you know what will click with me, TJ?
Mm-hmm.
Is Alex in Street Fighter.
Yes. I think you and I have been on the same page as far as, like, this is the one that we've been waiting for Street Fighter 6 for a pretty long time.
Yes, 100%. Alex is one of my, like, mains. Like, I loved him in Third Strike. I love him in 5. He's probably my actual main in 5 fully. The problem is he's never that great. I think that his best game is Tatsunoko versus Capcom. But they look to be faithful to him, but also transforming him for the new era. Like, he looks so fun.
Mm-hmm. He's got that Armor King era, Alex, which, like...
Yes.
He's already got some moves that could be considered heelish to begin with, like the headbutt, the 2-foot stomp. Like...
Yeah.
Those moves, you realize those moves are about to take on some mean aspects in this new version.
Oh, yeah, and like, also, him going heel kind of makes sense outside of the story in terms of, to speak in wrestling terms, Capcom tried to push him as a babyface for a long time. It's a Roman Reigns situation. We don't really want that. You know, no one wanted to, but, like, it's so easy to love him when he's embracing these more rogue elements. And also, you're a big grappler. I'm a big grappler sometimes. I go zoner when I don't feel like I can grapple. And this has been a really dream season for me. I don't think I'm going to get a better DLC season. I wish the release schedule was better.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. I wish there were more characters, but I mean, hey, I really can't complain. I'm excited for it. And on that same note, I'm excited for Kenshiro and City of the Wolves.
What a wild tease. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I was real mixed on City of the Wolves last year. Like, I love playing the game, but I hate the politics around it. I can't stand the politics around it. It drives me crazy.
Absolutely. That is probably the one that has the most asterisks to it. And, like, I think, now, to be honest, I think in 20 years, people will look at that game fondly and be like, oh, this was a cult classic that was not seen in its heyday. But also, it's really hard to love it today. And, like, when I go to a local, nobody's playing it. Nobody's playing this game. And I don't blame them.
It's a real shame, too, because it is really fun. I did a preview of Mr. Big before he came out, and, like, I don't know if you know this, but Joe Higashi is one of my favorite fighting game characters of all time. Like, easily top 2. And he was sitting there on the roster, and I just kept staring at him while I was practicing Mr. Big, and I'm like, you know what, no, I gotta give him a go. I gotta give him a try. And sure enough, I started playing him, and I got addicted, and I can't stop enjoying the things I like about Joe Higashi in this new game. It makes me sad that the thing is the way it is, but, like, man, they do know what they're doing, and they do it good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Boy. Yeah. But Kenshiro is a good way to start climbing their way back into my heart. That's a weird announcement, and it's really cool.
I like that they're doing guests. I think they're doing guests in a nice way. Kenshiro is a perfect fighting game pick, and honestly, I'm surprised Arc System Works didn't think of that. You know what I mean? But it's perfect. It is perfect.
Yeah, Arc System Works has a 2005 fighting game, for those who don't know, and it is a pretty good one. Like, it's solved. Like, it's a 2-character game at this point, but it's still dope as hell. And that precedent kind of, like, speaks. I mean, Arc System Works has a lot of irons on their fires these days. They got Marvel Tokon coming up, but man, it would have been cool. It would have been cool to see them do a Fist of the North Star. Nonetheless, I'm happy to see Kenshiro in a new game.
Did you completely drop T-Zog? Because your T-Zog was sick. Honestly, it is one of the best T-Zogs I have seen.
I did drop him because there was there was stuff that I couldn't do versus characters like the rats basically.
He was limited, and yeah, honestly, the one thing I will say about the game is it needs a meta shakeup. It needed a balance patch fucking 5 months ago, you know?
And just one of the things I love about Joe Higashi is I love kick-based offense for one thing. Like some of my favorite characters, Joe Higashi, Kim Kafwan. I like both the Kims in Mark of the Wolves. But like Joe Higashi, it was always such an aura thing to me that he can just uppercut tornadoes. That's just such a dope aesthetic in of itself. And then he's just a well-rounded character to go with that. So like I've been having a lot of fun with him in a balanced way that I really couldn't get with T-Zok, because T-Zok is like a matchup character where if they don't know what they're in for, you can just take them for a ride. But if they do know what they're in for, then like I'm at a severe disadvantage already.
Yeah. If they see the little gimmicks coming, and like I think that's a grappler thing in general, is like they're always low tier. Alex is very gimmicky. I like the gimmicks because it still feels like tools in your belt that are fun to use and feel incredible once the momentum is in your favor.
Mm-hmm. What do you want Kenshiro to play like?
I just mostly, I'm not gonna lie, I think of the supers already, of the you are already dead. Like, I could just see the fucking, like, I don't want to say critical art, whatever the fuck they call that in the game, but I could just see, otherwise, have you played, the Yakuza, clone of Fist of the North Star?
Yes.
I'd like to see some moves from there, and maybe even some of, like, the goofy shit, but I guess they wouldn't borrow strictly from that. I don't know. I always liked that. That was my main exposure to Kenshiro in combat in a video game. Was it Lost Paradise? That's what.
Yeah, that game is great.
So something. Yeah, so something like that. Yeah. But TJ, I gotta tell you, I bought a Switch 2.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I'm excited. I think this is a good console. This is a hot take. I don't know if it's a hot take. At the very least, being able to run Breath of the Wild at like 60 frames per second and like a good resolution, like I'm happy. Like I can't complain, really. And the only Switch 2 title I have right now, I think I'm going to get Kirby Air Riders soon. And I'll get Metroid Prime 4 down the line. But I have Donkey Kong. And let me tell you, I love Donkey Kong. And it is what Metroid Odyssey or Mario Odyssey wished it could be.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Like, it's a really, really, really interesting... I don't think it's I have, like, a mixed thought about DK Bonanza, because I don't think it's a great platformer, but I do think it's a great action game. And a lot of that comes from the fact of just how much you can deconstruct the environment.
Well, I think that's a big thing is I guess the can of worms that we're not going to spend 30 minutes talking about. I think 3D platformers are generally bad platformers. Mm-hmm. And then I think the secret sauce is how they still have you interact with the world. And DK creates a fun world, and how breaking things down or building things up, and like there's just enough movement there, and there's the reward structure is just enough to make you always want to play a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And that's all you need, you know?
I absolutely agree. It's an absolutely fun game to just see what you can get away with.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But you've been playing Metroids on the Switch, right?
Yes. I went on so it began with me playing Metroid Prime 4 for our Game of the Year discussions. And when I was done with it, I thought, okay, so like my initial take on Metroid Prime 4 is that it's a very, very good Metroid game, but it's like maybe the 5th best Metroid out of the series. I think that I think that it's very beautiful. I think it's got a very cool journey. I think the desert kind of sucks, but it's also kind of just like, whatever, just get through it and get to the next thing. But as far as just like the sheer feel and vibes of it go, I think there's better. And so I went back to, I've got the expansion pass stuff, so I flipped on the Game Boy Advance version and I started playing Fusion. And I played it from beginning to end, and I was like, man, everything feels so good, and everything is so where it needs to be here. I'm so happy.
Fusion's perfect. It's a perfect game for me. I love Fusion. My hot take on Metroid is a lot of people get bogged down in like the genre, like, oh, I need things to be expansive and free form. They want it to be like Hollow Knight in a way, but I feel like Metroid games, especially once they entered that era, started focusing less on like non-linear progression and it's just focused on like making a good experience.
Mm-hmm.
And each title did something slightly different in that, and Fusion nails its horror and nails some of its combat, has some of the best bosses I played, at least in that era. I fucking love Fusion.
SAX is an incredible, like, throughout the game threat. And then bosses like Nightmare are, like, the ones that stay with me the most. I freaking love Nightmare's song. I love Nightmare as a creature, the way its face just melts as you destroy it. Oh my god. And then I had never played Zero Mission before. And I thought that people were mixed on it, but like a bunch of my colleagues were saying, no, you got to play that right now. And so I did.
Oh, it's a banger. Yeah. People think it's a banger. Yeah.
So I did, and I think it's easy. I think Zero Mission is it's the easiest Metroid game by far, in my opinion.
It's short. It's also crazy short.
I think that it's still neat, though. Like, it's a guided tour of all the... It feels like a greatest hits album of the first game. Like,
yes.
Like, hitting the bosses, and Kraid is awesome in that game, Ridley is awesome in that game, Mother Brain is awesome in that game, and then the bit that they add at the end about where you lose the suit and and have to fight for, like, a much better suit. I think that's dope. I hate the stealth segment, but the rest of it is pretty cool.
It's short, like... The idea of this stealth segment adds a little bit more horror and defenselessness to that last portion. I don't know. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of it. It's no Super Metroid. You're right. It's not. But it's still a really, really good experience. It is a must play in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So I'm glad I went through all of those, because that was just like Metroid Prime 4 reminded me of how like delightful this series can be when we get to that title screen and when we see Samus and when we hear that music. Like, that is always like a hair standing on end moment when I open a Metroid for the first time and that title screen plays.
Well, let me ask you on the subject of Metroid. You've been playing the 2D ones, but you just played 4. What do you think of the Prime games?
I think that they're interesting and unique and provide a little bit of a cool flavor that we wouldn't have otherwise. So, like, as far as just like exploring what this franchise can do, I think it's an important part of it. I was one of those people when it first came out that was like, Prime going to 3D, they're going to ruin it. I'm not playing. And then I didn't for years. So, yeah. But then I rectified that last year. So, having grown as a person, I can safely say I think that the Metroid Prime games have a place in the universe.
Yeah, I personally love the Prime games. I especially love Prime 1, but I like all 3. For me, it's like that. It goes into that immersion environment thing. It's less calculated in area design, but like, I don't know, man. If you're a vibes gamer, sometimes the vibes are immaculate. That's all I'll say about it.
Yeah.
But TJ, are you ready to talk Mega Man?
I sure am. I mega am.
This week's Variety Minute, dear listeners, is Mega Man games. TJ, like when we were discussing which Mega Man game to play, it became clear to me that you are a Mega fan. Tell me some of your favorites. I'll tell you some of mine. We'll talk about some of the hot takes, some cold takes, etc., etc.
So, my number one Mega Man game of all time is Mega Man 4. It's so important to me for so many reasons. Like, it's got some of my favorite music in it. It's the introduction of the charged Mega Buster. It's got one of my favorite bosses in it, which is Pharaoh Man. And
okay.
And it's just so good. Like, I love everything about that game. It was also, I think, one of the first times that we got like the fake out Wily, because we got
yes. Well, they always tried to extend the post 8 Robot Master segments, and like 3 had the Doc robots, but I think this time they were like, what if we just do extra Fortress stages? Mm-hmm. And I think that was a really good system. And what I like is, I do really like 4. 4, 5, and 6 are their own vibe. It's like its own trilogy. And for me, my favorite out of those is 6. I love 6 for some reason. I think it's because of like the Rush armors. But like 4 is really, really special in its own way. The music's popping in it. My personal favorite classic is 9. I think Inti Creates is just like a really good developer. Mm-hmm. And like 9 spoke to me, man. But I think they also got worse when the Super Nintendo Mega Man 7 and then like PlayStation's Mega Man 8. It loses something, let's just say, for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, Mega Man 8 isn't a terrible game, and it has its own, like, charm as far as, like, those voice lines are probably the funniest ever recorded for anything. But
we'll talk about voice lines later, TJ, don't worry.
But it also, like, it had some interesting... I think Clown Man is a pretty memorable boss from that one, as far as the stage and the character gimmick. But yeah, other than that, like, a lot of that game is just kind of ho-hum. It's par for the course, I think.
Yeah, like the big thing to that game is they added a soccer ball.
Yeah,
Mega Man can hit a soccer ball. That's cute. I guess that's cute, but what by that era, that was definitely when X was becoming more popular. I don't know if that's a fact, but that was the vibe. And for me, I love X1 and X4. We'll talk about X4 later, obviously. But X1 to me is like a 10 out of 10.
It truly was like a immaculate game at the time. Like, and I think it's still, you know what? I won't even say at the time. It holds up. Like, the sheer feel of jumping in that game, the dashing, the shooting, the stages and their set pieces. Like, you're traveling down that highway and the ground just breaks underneath you, and you can either jump off it and just get through to the next platform, or you fall to the bottom and you got to climb your way out really fast. And I think, like, just everything that game presents in its first level is like, it was like rolling out the carpet and saying to every Super Nintendo player out there, yeah, we're in for something new and fun.
Yeah, it that really does feel like a next generation type of action game for me. I was like, oh my gosh, this shit's crazy. And like X2 and X3 feel a little like retreads. I think the PlayStation Saturn era of X has problems, but at the very least it feels fresh. I don't like you said earlier that in the private DMs that you like X5 and X6. I don't hate them either. I think there's problems. Mm-hmm. For sure. But X5 and X6 are fun, man. And if they did like a revival of X, I'd like them to be in that style.
Yes, I agree. I think if it were to have ended on, like, the pinnacle, I think it would have been X5, in my opinion. I think X5 was lit. X5, he wanted that to be the last game, as far as I remember. Like, that was supposed to be the bookend of the X story. And
there were a lot of things that hinted towards that as well. Like, a lot of the Sigma stages are like Wily stages, and they have like they try to bring things full circle, let's say.
And to end on, like, the possibility of, like, X and Zero having their final duel is like that's a moment in of itself that makes that game kind of an incredibly tense, just an incredible experience if you've been following that narrative from the games before.
Yeah, and I think that is, like, to define what makes the X franchise a little special is it's just a little bit more mature. And it's still fundamentally a Mega Man, but, like, Mega Man Classic is so fucking, like, it's baby in a decent way, but you know what I'm trying to say here. Whereas, like, X, there's, like, drama to it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you're, like, invested, let's say. But for me, like, I would say my tops are, like I said, Mega Man 9. For X, it's X1 and X4. But, like, the first 3 Zero games, let me say, are, like, S-tier peak. I love all the 3 Zero games. 0-4 is, like, but 0-3 is, like, whoa, that's crazy.
The Zero games are literally, like, the most shameful blind spot in my history of the series because they are the ones that I have not played. I have played almost everything else, including ZX, which comes right after the Zero series. But it was just like, I don't know what I was doing at the time that the Zero games came out, but I just missed every one of them.
Oh man, you gotta check them out. But ZX is pretty good. I like the action of ZX. It feels but it also feels very Saturday morning cartoon. ZX is good vibes. I like them. And also like the timeline bullshit. It's like so far in the future.
Uh-huh.
And I like Mega Man Legends. Legends 1 and 2 are very special to me.
Yes. I would love for that. Yes. I love Mega Man Legends so much, and it makes me so sad that that series just sits dormant because I want that third game so bad. Oh man, I really love the vibe of the Volnut universe because like that feels like a Saturday morning cartoon. That feels like a wonderful scene. That feels like straight up Toonami vibes, and I love that about it.
Yes, it's got some Ghibli in there. It's got some just feel good anime. You know, it's hard to stay mad, and like it's cool dungeon stuff. Is the combat a little clunky? Yeah, but who cares, man? Who cares? How do you feel? We'll go a little broader, real quick. How do you feel about Capcom when they make a Mega Man every 10 years? It's only a classic game.
I mean, it's hard to be mad that a Mega Man game is coming because it's like
True.
I want them to keep making them. Sure, I want them to do all sorts of stuff with Mega Man, but also the fact that they've finally acknowledged the series and are doing something new in it. I mean, it at least gives me hope. I hope that they continue to care.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's hard to complain, I suppose. I do feel like there's underdeveloped opportunities. Like, I think there is good business and good money in the battle networks, for instance. And you're not necessarily seeing, like, battle network titles, right? There's untapped potential still. I get that maybe a Mega Man X won't sell again. But something might. I don't know, man.
I'll tell you what, like, I run this indie live stream every week, Indielicious. And I usually just go into Steam and pick out something new that's released within the last 2 weeks, and I play it live, and I see, like, I demonstrate it for an audience. And I have to say, every, like, maybe 2 to 3 months or so, I see a game that comes to the indie marketplace that is just completely, like, taking on the Mega Man Battle Network style. And it almost always has, like, a positive or a very positive or an overwhelmingly positive rating. So, like, people dig that. And it's strange to me that, like, Capcom hasn't seen those games come out, seen the response to them, and thought, we have, like, the original here. Maybe we should do something with it.
Yeah, man. And especially since the format of the fucking Battle Networks is like Pokemon coded, where it's like the 2 titles and like the trading and the multiplayer. I'm like, man, you could do a lot. You could make a lot of money with it too. To me, it's good merchandise too. Mm-hmm. But who knows? Are there any other Mega Man classics you'd like to cite? For me, I'd also like to cite Mega Man 5 on the Game Boy. The V, the alien one. Super good. Love it.
Yes. Yes, that was actually the first way I played Mega Man 5. I played it on my Game Boy before I played it on NES.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, Napalm Man, probably one of my favorites out of the series. Super messed up concept, but...
Yeah, it's funny, and like if you ever see, because a lot of those Robot Masters are like from like the Create Your Own Robot Master contest or whatever. It's funny to see like the original kid drawings of some of them. They're very, very goofy, and like even outside of that, like Mega Man 10 has like what, Sheep Man and Knife Man. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you're going wild now.
Yeah, and we finally got a contest again this year, so like it's going to be interesting to see what comes of that, because all we knew is that they wanted a robot that would use a sucking action on its arm, and I guess we'll see what comes of that.
They're very interesting, let's just say.
Yeah.
TJ, do you want to talk Mega Man X4?
Let's.
This week's Game of the Week is Mega Man X4. Developed by Capcom for the Sega Saturn and PlayStation in 1997, the game is notable for an upgrade in storytelling and graphics compared to the prior 3X titles, featuring a playable Zero in a separate campaign. The story is that in the year 21XX, X and Zero are maverick hunters protecting the world from rogue sentient Reploids. A militia of Reploids known as Repliforce has received the blame for 2 major attacks on the public, despite their claims of innocence. Their reluctance to lay down their arms means war. X and Zero must hunt down 8 mavericks and uncover the conspiracy behind the war. Spoiler alert, Sigma was behind it all. TJ, what'd you think of Mega Man X4?
This is my favorite Mega Man game of the entire franchise so far. I love Mega Man X4. Like, just I was talking about level 1 with Mega Man X earlier. Mega Man X4 has maybe one of the best level 1s out of any game I've played. And it comes from the fact that you can play X or you can play Zero in that starting point, and they have different outcomes depending on which one of them you're playing. Like, I think it's cool as hell that you run into one of the Maverick bosses right away, and depending on if it's X or Zero, like, Magma Dragoon is friends with Zero, not so much X. And so there's a sense of betrayal with Zero later on, whereas with X, it's just like, this guy's a jerk, just kill him. I think, and like, the difference in reactions and difference in, like, everything the way that plays out, depending on which of them you're playing as, was always such a fun part of that game for me.
Oh man, the 2 campaigns, I almost always go Zero. This is like my favorite X franchise game where you can play as Zero. This is the best one. Later on, they get a little bit more complicated, and then X30 to me doesn't really count. This is like the one where I'm like, I want to play as Zero. This is the shit. But even then, X has a really solid campaign. And they're both really, really fun in different ways. And I ask myself every time I play these, which one I feel like the levels are built more for. And I go back and forth on that. I think there are some times where I'm like, oh man, this is so much better as Zero. And other times where I'm like, there's no way this wasn't built for X.
Yes, like whether it's something like where the either the hover boots would have worked better, or like just having that circular slash that Zero has. That thing is wonderful. But and that like leads to something else that's cool about them, is that they have such a difference in styles of like power-ups. Zero doesn't get just straight up power ups the way that X does. Like X gets his normal weapons, but Zero gets techniques, and
he gets moves.
Yeah, and I love that Zero plays more like, I guess, like kind of like a fighting game character than like a Mega Man character.
For real, he's basically got a Shoryuken, and it's got like high fall off, but also it fucking hits hard.
Yes. And then, like, the stages, like, you talked about, like, who they're built for, but I also just like the fact that Zero and X have different bosses and different paths through the game. Mm-hmm. And
yeah,
so it's actually just, like, worth playing as both of them just to see the whole thing. I also think that Duo is funny as hell and a weird, like, replacement for, what's-her-face with Zero.
The plot twist regarding Duo is very silly to me. I think X's story gets a little weird at that point.
Yes,
because like at that point on the other side, Zero's fighting Colonel and Iris. Iris is like the swap there, and like there's like a deeply emotional moment. I don't particularly like Iris as a character, but like it's still like meant to be like a big deal. For me, Duo is just like a goofy guy that turns out to not be a goofy guy. I was the villain all along. I'm like, okay, this is left field shit.
He turns from like the plushiest guy ever into like the most pointy guy ever, and it's weird. And also, that's when I learned that robots bleed.
Yeah. This is a little bit more adult than the Super Nintendo games. In multiple ways, I think the anime cutscenes help with that. Obviously, the voice acting is pretty dog shit. It's not as bad as Mega Man 8, but they also try to be more dramatic. So it's, well, what am I fighting for?
That general is maybe my favorite voice choice of anyone. Like, I don't know what the consideration was behind that, but just the whole, like, he's so like stilted in every delivery that he's like, my fate is sealed, I have notice.
To me, the actual worst voice actor is X, because it's such, every time they talk, I'm like, that doesn't come out of X's mouth. Who is this person? I don't like this. Oh my gosh. The other thing about X's upgrades is that he has actual armor. And the armor does like substantial shit, like the boots or the helmet with the ammo conservation. Like, all of this matters more, and like you have to worry about ammo as X, but the range with X really helps, because there's some times where you're like, man, I cannot hit this fucking boss. Fighting General as Zero is pretty fucking painful.
I bet.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. It's been a while since I did it, but that feels like it would be a horrible fight to take, because you gotta use his little hand platforms to get to his head.
Yeah, basically, I don't know let me ask you real quick, TJ, how do you play these games? Because I got like a claw grip, and like the claw grip is so I can tap the button for the boost at the same time as I jump, so I can like move around real fast, but my hand starts to hurt after like an hour. It's terrible. It's a terrible life.
I have fat thumbs, and I make sure that the X button is my jump and the circle button is my dash, so I can like tilt it back and forth between the two.
Ah, that makes sense.
But I also got to talk about the music in this game, because this is my favorite Mega Man soundtrack as well. I think it...
Hell the fuck yes.
Yes. It starts in the fact that like Mega Man and Zero have different starting themes that kind of provide their aesthetic throughout the entire game. Because like even, like when you win boss fights with them, it also plays like a smaller clip of like their aesthetic theme. But also just like I think Magma Dragoon has a banger, Storm Owl has a banger, Cyber Peacock's whole level is a banger. Like, this game is hit after hit after hit when it comes to good music.
And like, a thing I really like about these levels and these Mavericks, for me, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I'm like, the animal shit is dumb with the Mavericks. This game, I don't think that. because the aesthetic of the stages and like the things you're doing in the stages always feels vibrant. There's always something going on. Like Jet Stingray, you're on a fucking speed bike and you're going through the level and it's not like any other level. And that's super fun. Or Cyber Peacock, you're like going through it and it's ranking you on how fast you're going through it. And you get good bonuses if you get good ranks. You want those ranks real bad.
Yep.
And it's just good vibes, man.
Yes. Like, Magma Dragoon as a robot master is such a cool design that I wanted, like, man, I want to play that character. Like, how do I play Magma Dragoon? And it's like...
And speaking of Street Fighter, Magma Dragoon literally has a Hadouken and a Shoryuken shit. You are fighting, and then you also are, like, in the ride armor, and you're like, ah! It's so good.
Yeah, he's so dope. Like, everything about that is so dope. And then he's the traitor. And and depending on who you are, Magma is either like, I did it on purpose and I'd do it again. Or with Zero, he's like, I'm sorry, you were my brother. I'm sorry, this is goodbye.
Fuck you, X, I hate your ass.
Yeah, he really hates X.
Yeah, he does. Oh, man. There's little details in there, too. Like, there's another one as well. I think it's the spider or it's the sponge. But so the spoiler alert is Magma Dragoon is not literally Repliforce. He is a Sigma Maverick. And the symbol during the boss fight is the Sigma symbol versus the Repliforce symbol. It's just little details like that make you go like, ah, yes, this is a good story, even though it's totally not.
Yeah.
You're like, yes. Yeah.
What do you think of Grim Reaper Sigma?
This is the last time I like Sigma.
Yeah, that first form is pretty great. I like the cloak. I like the laser scythe. I was a fan of Gundam Wing at the time, so the laser scythe was pretty dope.
Yeah, it's a good boss fight too. Like it to me it feels a little Castlevania-y. The way he like hovers around this stage or whatever it's good. Mm-hmm. I think the later Sigma phases I could give or take, but like also that Sigma Fortress is really not that bad. It's mostly just like a boss rush, and I mean that like with the way it's formatted, it's very harmless to me.
Yes, that one felt like it wasn't as hard to get. It really did feel like they spent their load on making more compelling stages as a whole, as opposed to like saving their best for the last stuff, because like, as we mentioned, with Cyber Peacock and Magma Dragoon, and even like the Mushroom one, there are different routes through those stages that are just either hidden or that you just have to be good to get to them.
I will say, and minor complaint, there is no consistency regarding where the upgrades are. Like, this is either you know where they are, or you gotta look up a guide.
Yeah,
those are the two things you got. Because otherwise, you're not gonna know where the little heart tank is on some of these. Or like you're riding in Jet Stingray stage and you see yourself fly by the heart tank, and you're like, oh, I gotta die now so I can get that.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
I hate that vibe of knowing of seeing something go by you in a way that's like, well, I guess I'm going back to stage select.
yeah. That shit sucks, man. So do you prefer to play as X or do you prefer to play as Zero?
That's really hard. I like them both for their own reasons. I've never been like crazy on X, but I do think that the sword and like the fighting move stuff is really fun. I also just like playing Mega Man himself. So like, I don't know. For it's like, I guess in that case it's like, do I feel like eating vanilla ice cream today, just like classic good flavor, I know what I'm getting, or do I want to change it up and do a little bit of Neapolitan?
Oh, there you go. A little Rocky Road action. I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever do the cheat codes?
This one had like the different forms, right? Where you could you got recolors of them that could do different things.
Yeah, kind of. The X one does. X has like 3 different armor sets that you can get like immediately through cheat code. Zero just has black armor, which is still really cool. It doesn't do anything. It's just black armor, but it's pretty dope.
Yeah, I like that Black Armor Zero. It looks good.
Yeah. I don't know. You got any other thoughts on it?
If Mega Man X was going to come back, I would hope that the style that they try to emulate most is Mega Man X4, because geez Louise, it felt like it just continued to slip further and further and further from what a good Mega Man X game could be, as they went, especially as they went into the 3D era.
7 is so dog shit. I don't mind X8. X8's alright.
I'm not crazy about anything after X6, and I'm not even particularly crazy about X6 outside of the fact that I think it's interesting what they decided to do after Zero was gone. But those 3D games, first off, I think Axel is a dog shit character, and they should never bring that character back. But
I agree. Yeah.
But they also just made those games stupid and awkward. It was like they're, I don't know. I don't even think that I want X and after what 7 and 8 felt like, I don't even really want X in a 2.5D fashion. Although that's...
Did you, I was going to ask you, did you play Maverick Hunter X for the PSP?
I don't think I did.
I would recommend that one. I actually like it. It's a remake of X1. The only thing that's notable about it, it's got the 3D style. It's okay. I don't mind the style in that one. It works. And then you can play as Vile. Playing as Vile is fun.
It's a 2.5D remake of X1?
Yes.
That sounds interesting, at least. I would try it.
I would definitely play it. They also rearranged some of the armor upgrades so they're less dumb.
Huh.
That's a minor complaint of X1. And yeah, you can play as Vile, and like with Vile, you can like alter the different arm. Like when you beat a boss, you just get different like weapons. Like you get a grenade launcher if you beat like Chill Penguin or whatever. And like so then you're launching a fucking grenade launcher. It's not like elemental based. It's just like armory based, weapon based. And I would recommend it. That's cool. I don't think they ever nailed a separate character better than Zero. I think Zero is, in fact, the peak of alternate characters.
Yeah, because, like, with Zero, you still had that connection to Wily. And so it always felt like something where Zero and X are, like, they're friends, but what if someday they finally clash? And that is always such an interesting bit of tension in there.
What do you think of the story to this game? Like, actually.
As far as just like a Mega Man story goes, like the execution was in like the cutscenes and all that stuff is like it is what it is. It's cheesy. It's B movie. It's but as far as like the concepts of it, the idea of an entire force just like turning against humans because they were afraid they were going to become Mavericks is kind of palpable.
Yeah, I once heard someone on YouTube say, I think his name was Ben Saint. He went over the Mega Man games. He said, being a Maverick is a social construct. This is the first time where I was like, I don't know if killing all these guys is actually a good idea, X. Maybe they don't all deserve to just die.
Yeah, that is like, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Like, I don't think the Repla Force is necessarily like their greatest crime was becoming violent because they thought they were going to be disposed of, and but unfortunately, the Maverick Hunters just gotta shoot them as they see them, which is a parallel to our world that I don't quite like.
Yeah. I mean, I think to speak just minor parallels here, for me, I have now grown to the point now in my old age where I'm like, X might be wrong. and like at the end of the Zero campaign in X4, Zero goes, are all Reploids Mavericks? And I'm like, yeah, kinda, probably. And like, it's because like preserving the status quo just means the people in power will continue, because like both sides hate each other, they both want to kill each other. The side in power wants to like, you're just preserving a bad status quo and doesn't fundamentally change anything. And X is just like, let's not fight. Let's just continue to make things worse for my people. And you're like, oh man. Maybe X fucked up. Maybe Zero was right all along. And that's why the Zero games are good, guys.
Yeah, because, like, the whole conceit of Mega Man, or X, is that, like, Dr. Light was so scared of how strong X would become that he had to build this system that made it so that X would just not kill people. Like, and Zero being pretty much the complete opposite of that, where it's like Zero was built to kill X specifically. I don't know. It's an interesting through plot through the entire series that I don't necessarily think they always handle well, but I still think it's fun and compelling.
I like in fighting games that they borrow a lot of like Zero's moves. Zero in Marvel vs. Capcom is so fucking fun. Yes, because like he was already built with that stuff intact, so how much did they really have to like come up with new for it? Most of his MVC3 moveset is just straight up his X4 moves. Yeah. They have Ryujin. You just fucking use Ryujin. You're like, wow, this is good. 10 out of 10. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite stage? Is it the Cyber Peacock one? My favorite stage is probably Storm Owl's because his music is my favorite in the game. That makes sense. And I don't like that boss. That boss I could give or take on. But the stage is really good. Yeah, the airships where you have to jump from one to the other as they're all just like being blown out of the sky. I think that's really dope. I like Slash Beast. Slash Beast to me is the hardest. To me, it's the hardest boss in the game. I don't know why. And like, there's things about it that are like obvious. Like looking back now that I'm an adult, like, oh, he has a flash kick, but it's a counter flash kick. You can't hit him. You have to give him a second, and then he won't do it. To me, I always like those sort of back and forths with bosses. For me, the X series is always more like, decent stages, but like difficult bosses that you got to pay attention to. And this game has those. This game's good. Yeah, that feels like Slash Beast feels like one of those situations where I don't feel like the stage was all that like crazy, but Slash Beast himself is hard to get past. He has that Sabretooth Weapon X super. Yeah. Oh man. Well, I think we're already wrapping up here, but I don't mind. An hour podcast is pretty good. Any final thoughts on X4? Yeah, like I said, this is the one that I would want them to emulate if they were going to bring the series back again. But at the same time, I'm happy to see new Mega Man is finally happening. I hope they stick the landing on it. I hope they do well, and I hope that people enjoy it, because if people enjoy it, maybe we'll get more Mega Man, and that's good for everybody. I will indeed buy Mega Man as soon as it releases. But until that point, TJ, want to go ahead and plug what you've got going on? We are back in the saddle at Shacknews.com. We've got our guys out at CES. They just finished doing our most excellent of CES article. We were also covering Awesome Games Done Quick this week. Big money for good charity, speedrunners aplenty, and some great runs in there. And of course, you can follow us on our YouTubes at Shacknews, our social medias at Shacknews, and all that stuff. And we're always doing new things. We always have exciting stuff coming. It's going to be a big year. Supposedly Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming, and we have big plans for it. So stay tuned, and we'll bring our best. I still believe 6 is coming. It's happening. I hope. In my heart of hearts. I really want to believe, but I also, like, Rockstar doesn't fill me with optimism. And then, all right, listeners, as of right now, the next scheduled episode will be Silent Hill 4, The Room, with Steven. I'm personally excited to stay in this room and never leave it. Thank you so much, TJ, and I think we're playing out. Awesome. Thank you for having me on.